Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm actually going to be talking to you about a college dropout who started a company that's now valued at over $620 billion. I'm going to talk to you about Steve Jobs and his impact at Apple. Now, Steve Jobs showed a very strong interest from a young age with electronics and gadgets. He actually in high school called Hewlett-Packard asking for some parts for a high school project. Now, not only did they get back to him, give him the parts, they also offered him a summer internship. Now, shortly after Jobs dropped out of college, one of his buddies, Wozniak, was working on a little project of his own. He was building a computer for himself. Now, Jobs saw the marketing potential in this, where Wozniak just was doing this for a hobby. But either way, they partnered up, started in his parents' garage building computers. So Apple literally started from nothing. Jobs actually sold his car, Wozniak sold his Hewlett-Packard calculator just for some initial capital. Now they finished the Apple Computer 1 in the garage. They showed it to a computer store, and the computer store said, yeah, sure, we'll take 50 units of this. Now they still didn't have the capital to back that up, so they needed to take out a loan. They gave them the 50 units, and they sold every single one. The first Apple computer, they only made about 200 of these. They sold every one, though. The first Apple computer was actually going for over $600 a piece. And only a year later, when they made the Apple Computer 2, they were going for over $1,000 a piece. Now, according to oldcomputers.net, Apple Computer was the first personal computer to reach over $1 billion in annual sales. In 1980, though, competition started to increase and Apple sales were dropping. And then 3 years later, they brought out the Macintosh. This was the first computer with a mouse. It was specifically meant for personal use. The only thing is, it was way too much money for the average person to afford. So Jobs started taking it a different angle marketing-wise and tried getting businesses to buy it. It didn't have enough memory storage for businesses to use, though. So it was kind of a flop too. Steve Jobs started to veer off after this, doing his own projects for his own gain. After these events and disagreement with one of the board members, Steve Jobs got demoted by one of the people he hired and picked out himself. So after he was demoted, he ended up just stepping down completely, went off on his own, sold his shares and everything. This is when he started working on a project called Next. This was actually specifically for businesses and research projects. But it didn't take off, and it actually left him in the hole with money somewhat. He had a little bit of money left. He ended up putting it into some investments in Pixar. This is when they started to make Toy Story, which was a huge hit. When he put his shares up, they ended up reaching $1 billion in one night. So he made some return on his investments very quickly. In the meantime, Apple started to go downhill. So they took Steve Jobs back on the board. The only thing is, though, even after this, they were still going downhill. So the CEO stepped down. Jobs got full control again. And this is when Jobs made a great decision for Apple and partnered up with Microsoft. After this, Apple quickly returned to being profitable. Most of the things they were coming out with then were paired up with the Microsoft software. So now for some of Apple's more recent innovations. The iPod in 2001, the iPhone in 2007, and in 2010 they came out with the iPad. I don't have one of those. Just to show you the difference and how far Apple has come, here's one of the first iPods, and then later on, this is one of the newer ones. Okay, they've actually, according to entrepreneur.com, Apple has sold more than 300 million iPods, more than 100 million iPhones, which is still growing rapidly actually, and over 15 million iPad devices. The thing is, in 2011, I'm sure most of you know, Jobs had to step down because of health issues. He still stayed on the board for a while to make some bigger decisions, but eventually had to step down from that too. In October of 2011, Steve Jobs passed away. You can see Steve Jobs literally started Apple from nothing in his parents' garage. He sold his car to start the business. It was a crazy idea for everyone to have a personal computer. But, I mean, now Apple is worth billions. People pretty much have a computer at their fingertips if you think about it with smartphones. I'm actually going to share a quote with you now from Steve Jobs. He said, "We started out to get a computer in the hands of everyday people, and we succeeded beyond our wildest dreams." So, in my opinion, Steve Jobs, as you can see from all this information, pretty much did exactly what he wanted. And I hope all this information has let you learn something new. And thank you for listening.